Let me tell you something that'll shift your spirit if you let it. Your worth is not defined by who didn't call you back, who left you on read, who disappeared when you needed them most. See, the mistake too many people make especially good-hearted, loyal people is thinking that the absence of someone says something about them. Like maybe they weren't enough. Like maybe if they had said the right thing, or looked a little different, or tried a little harder, maybe then that person would have stayed. Baby, no, that ain't how this works. Your value doesn't decrease just because someone else didn't recognize it. It don't shrink just 'cause somebody couldn't handle it. That's not a reflection on you. That's a reflection on them. You've been sitting here wondering why someone who meant so much to you seems to treat you like you mean nothing to them. You've been measuring your beauty, your worth, your soul by someone's absence, by silence, by a phone that don't ring, a message that never comes. But here's the truth you need to let hit you in the chest. When someone chooses not to show up, when they choose not to pour into you, when they choose to ghost, vanish, disappear, back away, or stop trying, that has absolutely nothing to do with your value. You are still powerful, still worthy, still whole. Sometimes God removes people not to hurt you, but to remind you. They were never supposed to define you. And yet here you are, heart wide open, mind racing, asking questions like, why did he stop talking to me? Was it something I said? Is he thinking about me too? Baby, let me tell you what he's thinking about ain't even the point. That ain't even your business anymore. Because if somebody can go days, weeks, months without checking on you, without speaking life into you, without showing interest in who you are becoming, then that tells you everything you need to know. You ain't got to chase an answer when the silence is already speaking loud. You sitting here looking for closure from somebody who left a long time ago. But let me break it down for you. Closure is not something they give you. Closure is something you give yourself. You get up, you wipe your tears, and you tell yourself, I don't need nobody to choose me to know I'm chosen. I don't need anyone to validate me to know I'm valuable. You stop giving your heart to people who only want the idea of you, not the responsibility of loving you. It's easy to think that their distance means something's wrong with you, but that ain't the truth. Sometimes their absence is the gift. Sometimes their silence is the clarity. Sometimes the people who vanish are doing you the biggest favor God could ever orchestrate, because they left space for someone better. Someone who sees you, someone who values your words, your time, your mind, your soul, someone who knows that presence speaks louder than potential. Too many of y'all giving permanent energy to temporary people. You stuck in your mind on someone who ain't ever been consistent in their actions. You rewinding old memories, playing them like a highlight reel, ignoring the red flags that were waving right in your face. Just because it felt good once doesn't mean it's good for you now. Don't confuse a connection with a commitment. You can feel drawn to someone and still recognize that they're not healthy for your peace. I know it hurts when someone you care about disappears. I know it hurts when you feel like you're giving your all and getting silence in return. But let that pain be your teacher. Let it teach you to love yourself harder. Let it teach you that the people who are meant to stay in your life will make the effort. They'll show up, they'll call, they'll care. And if someone ain't doing that, then it's time to stop looking at the door they walked out of and start walking into the life you deserve. Let me tell you something right now. You sitting there wondering why you can't get this man out of your mind, and he ain't even said 2 words to you lately. You replaying conversations that barely happened, trying to find meaning in moments that, truth be told, didn't mean a thing to him. And here you are, Carrie, in the weight of a man who ain't carrying nothing for you. Now you thinking, maybe he's busy, maybe he's going through something, maybe he just needs time. And look, I get it, we all want to believe the best in somebody, especially when our hearts are involved. But I came to tell you something that might just free you if you let it sink in. Energy don't lie. You hear me? Energy don't lie. See, a person can be silent, but their silence still says something. And when somebody don't reach out, don't check in, don't show up that absence. That's a message. That's a loud, clear, thunderous message if you're willing to hear it. Because energy speaks louder than silence ever could. You ever walk into a room and feel the vibe shift? Ain't nobody gotta say nothing, but you feel it, right? That's energy. That's the truth showing up with no words attached. That's what's happening right now. You feel that man's energy, or the lack of it, and you're trying to translate it into something it's not. You trying to dress up his distance as mystery, his silence as depth, his absence as strength. Baby, no, that's not mystery, that's disinterest. That ain't strength, that's detachment. Let me tell you something about a man who wants you. He gon' find a way. He gon' show up even if it's inconvenient. He gon' make time even if he's busy. He ain't gon' let you sit in confusion wondering where y'all stand. Because a real man values clarity. A real man respects your time, your heart, and your peace. But silence from someone you're constantly thinking about, that ain't peaceful. That's torment, and you know it. You feel it. Now some of y'all are stuck because you've created a whole story in your mind. You've built a connection with a man who didn't show up for the role. You've fallen in love with potential, not reality, and every time he doesn't call, doesn't text, doesn't check in, you tell yourself, he must be thinking about me too. Nah, baby, that's you thinking about him, that's you projecting, that's you doing all the emotional labor for two people in a one-sided story. What you gotta understand is this. Just because someone lingers in your thoughts doesn't mean they're meant to linger in your life. You may feel connected to him, but energy goes both ways. It's a two-way street, and if the only traffic is coming from your direction, then baby, that road is closed. You just ain't accepted it yet. You got a good heart. You love hard, you care deep. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But don't let your heart blind you to the truth your spirit already sees. You deserve someone who meets you halfway, who matches your effort, who reciprocates your energy, someone who talks to you, not just lives in your mind like a ghost. See, when someone loves you, they want you to know it. They won't be content just sitting in your thoughts like a memory. They gon' be present, they gon' pursue, they gon' protect. Love don't play hide and seek. It shows up bold and undeniable. It don't leave you confused, it confirms you. You don't have to wonder if they care because you feel it in every call, every word, every gesture. But silence, that's not love. That's a vacuum, and your spirit keeps trying to fill it with meaning that ain't there. You keep thinking the silence means something. But the truth is, it already said what it needed to say. The absence, the distance, the quiet, that was the message, and deep down you heard it. You just didn't want to believe it, because believing it means letting go. It means facing the reality that the person you've been holding space for in your heart ain't holding space for you in theirs. That's hard, that's painful, but it's also powerful. Because once you accept what that silence really means, you free yourself from waiting, from wondering, from wasting energy on someone who already made their choice by not choosing you. And the moment you take that energy back, the moment you stop pouring into the silence, The moment you stop trying to decode what ain't being said, that's the moment you start getting your power back. And baby, that's the beginning of everything. You're not stuck. You're growing. That feeling you have, the one that makes you think you're spinning in circles, caught in your thoughts about someone who's gone silent, that's not being stuck. That's your spirit stretching. That's your heart learning something it didn't know before. You see, when somebody stays on your mind but never shows up in your life, you're not just missing them. You're being taught. You're being strengthened. You're being shaped. It's hard to see it in the moment. It feels like you're trapped. Like your mind is a movie theater playing the same scene over and over again. His laugh, his smile, what he said, what he didn't say. You think maybe if you figure out what went wrong, you'll feel better. So you replay the last time you talked, the last message he sent. You search for clues in silence, try to read between the lines of what was never written. But no answer ever shows up, because you're not supposed to find closure in someone who already closed the door without telling you. That constant loop in your mind, the ache in your chest, the wonder, it tricks you. Makes you think you're stuck. Makes you believe you're broken. But what you're really doing is growing through the fire. Growth don't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like crying in your car, pretending you're okay when you're not, questioning your worth in the dark while still getting up every morning to face the world. That's not weakness. That's strength disguised as survival. When you care about someone deeply and they suddenly vanish, stop talking, stop calling, stop caring. It hurts in a place that words can't touch, and we're taught to chase closure. We're taught to believe that if we could just get a final conversation, just one more explanation, then maybe we'd feel peace. But growth is when you start to understand you don't need a period to end a sentence that was never meant to continue. You don't need their voice to validate what you already know. You were always enough. That silence, it isn't about you. That absence, it's not a measure of your value. It's a reflection of where they are in their life, not where you are in yours. And the fact that you keep thinking about them, even after all this time, doesn't mean you're stuck. It means your heart is learning how to let go. It means your soul is sorting through the pieces, trying to release something it once held close. That's not stagnation. That's transformation. See, growth is messy. It doesn't come with a warning or a road map. It shows up disguised as pain, as longing, as confusion. But behind all that, there's movement. There's progress. There's strength being built in the quiet corners of your soul. You're not stuck. You're being rewired. You're being prepared for better. Because every time you resist the urge to reach out, every time you choose your peace over your need for answers, you're telling the universe, I'm ready to rise. It's not easy, I know. Some nights, the silence feels louder than any argument you ever had. You wonder if they think about you. If they feel the same pull, and maybe they do, but if they did and it mattered, you'd know. You wouldn't be here wondering. Love doesn't keep you questioning. It confirms you. It shows up. It speaks up. So the fact that they're not here, not speaking, not doing anything, that tells you everything. But again, that doesn't mean you're stuck. It means you're shedding a version of yourself that accepted crumbs, that mistook attention for affection, that called mixed signals a maybe instead of a no. That version of you is dying off, and I know that hurts. I know it feels like losing a part of yourself, but in truth, you're gaining something far greater. You're learning to trust your own voice. You're learning to hold your own heart. So if they're still in your mind but nowhere in your life, let that be the evidence of your growth. Let it be the signal that you're healing, even when it hurts. You're not where you were yesterday. You're not crying over the same things, not reacting the same way. That's progress, that's growth, that's movement. Even if no one else sees it but you. Let me put y'all up on something real. You can spend all day, all week, all year thinking about somebody, wondering why they don't call, why they don't check in, why you keep showing up for someone who ain't even trying to meet you halfway. But here's the deal. You are not hard to love. You are just loving people who don't love you back. And that's the truth a lot of folks don't want to face. You've been sitting there pouring your time, your heart, your prayers, your patience into a person who's barely giving you their attention. You ever notice that? You send them long texts, they send you back lol. You check on them when they're down, but when you're struggling, you hear nothing but silence. That ain't love, that's emotional labor without a return on investment. Now listen to me closely. People make time for what they care about. People show up for who they value. You don't ever have to wonder about somebody who's real. A real one doesn't leave you hanging, doesn't go ghost, doesn't act brand new when life gets hard. A real one will match your effort, your energy, your presence. You ain't gotta chase them, convince them, remind them of your worth. They see it, and they treat you like they do. So if you find yourself always reaching out, always hoping, always making excuses for why they ain't called, why they ain't asked how you're doing, why they go days or weeks without speaking a word to you, baby, that ain't your person. That's someone who's enjoying your energy without earning your loyalty. See, some folks just like the idea of you. They like knowing you're there, but they don't respect you enough to reciprocate. And let me tell you something. Love without respect is manipulation. It's emotional crumbs, and you were never made to live off crumbs. You sitting there wondering what you did wrong, why you're not enough, why you're thinking about this person so much when they barely think about you. You're carrying the whole connection on your back, and it's heavy, ain't it? Because you're trying to build something with someone who won't even bring a brick. You can't build a relationship by yourself. You can't carry the love, the effort, the loyalty for two people. That ain't your job. It's hard, I know. When your heart's involved, it's hard to let go. You tell yourself maybe they're busy, maybe they're going through something, maybe next week they'll reach out. But weeks turn into months, and months turn into years, and sudden. You've wasted all this time waiting on someone who made it clear. They ain't willing to meet you where you are. You don't need another maybe. You need someone solid, someone consistent, someone who don't let you question your place in their life. Love is not a guessing game. It don't come in form of mixed signals and one-sided effort. It comes with clarity. It comes with presence. It comes with someone who looks at you and says, I see you, I want you, and I'm gonna show up for you. That's the kind of love you deserve. And until you believe that, you'll keep settling for people who don't see your value. You gotta stop mistaking attention for intention. Just because they hit you up once in a while don't mean they're invested. Just because they pop up on your feed or like your story or send you a "Hey stranger" every now and then, that don't mean they're serious. That's not effort, that's convenience. Real ones make you feel secure, not suspicious. Real ones don't make you wonder, they make you feel wanted. You don't have to beg for what's already yours when someone truly cares. You don't have to perform, prove, or plead to be loved the right way. If it's real, it'll be mutual. If it's right, it won't be so hard. And if they care, you'll know. Not by what they say when it's easy, but by what they do when it counts. Stop giving your heart to people who treat you like an option. Stop sacrificing your peace just to keep someone in your life who wouldn't even notice if you left. You deserve reciprocity. You deserve the same love you give. Real ones don't make you chase them. Real ones chase with you, side by side, every day, without excuses, without silence, without games, because that's what grown love looks like. Let me talk to you for a second. Straight from the heart. Some of y'all are out here measuring your worth based on who ain't showing up in your life. You're sitting around, looking at your phone, waiting on a text that never comes, staring at your social media, hoping for a like, a view, something, anything, from a man who's not even thinking about you. And every time that silence stretches out, you start to wonder, what did I do wrong? You start questioning yourself like you the one that's missing something. But let me tell you something right now. Your value, your beauty, your intelligence, your heart. None of that is defined by who chooses to ignore it. The biggest mistake you can make is believing that somebody's absence is a reflection of your failure. Just because he's not calling doesn't mean you're not worth the call. Just because he ain't checking in doesn't mean you ain't worth checking on. That's not about you, that's about him. But see, we live in a world that's always trying to convince women that if a man walks away, it must be because she wasn't enough. Let me be clear. You were enough the moment you walked in the room. You were enough before he even met you. You gotta stop treating his silence like it's gospel. His lack of effort is not a mirror to your soul. It's not proof that you need to be prettier, smarter, more successful, more available, more whatever. That ain't it. That man's inability to recognize your value doesn't take a single ounce of value away from you. Your diamonds don't stop shining just because somebody too blind to see them. The truth is, a lot of people won't know how to love you because you love too deep, too loud, too real, and that ain't a flaw, that's a gift, that's a blessing. And if the person you're thinking about every day ain't stepping up to receive it, it doesn't make the gift any less valuable. All it means is it's not meant for them. But here you are still holding space in your heart for someone who didn't even try to earn it. You're letting your joy shrink just because he didn't make time for you. You're letting unanswered messages shape your self-esteem. That's gotta stop. Because when you define yourself based on who didn't show up, you start forgetting who you really are. Think about it. There was a time before this man even showed up. A time when you were focused, driven, laughing more, sleeping better. And now he's gone silent, and suddenly it feels like the whole world's gone quiet too, but it hasn't. You just forgot that the sun still shines even when someone walks away. You forgot that your name still holds weight, your dreams still matter, your energy still changes the room. You forgot that someone leaving doesn't mean you lost anything. It just means you made space for something better. Don't let a ghost control your glow. Don't shrink yourself trying to figure out why someone disappeared. People leave for all kinds of reasons, and most of them got nothing to do with you. They leave because they're scared, because they're selfish, because they're still broken, because they ain't ready, because they don't know what to do with someone who actually brings peace instead of chaos. That ain't your burden to carry, that's their problem to solve. So I'm telling you this from experience and from the heart. Don't ever tie yourself worth to someone else's inconsistency. Don't give that kind of power to someone who didn't even care enough to explain themselves. You don't have to prove anything to someone who already chose to miss out on you. You don't need closure from someone who closed the door and never looked back. You were already worthy before he noticed you, and you're still worthy now that he's gone. The absence of a man does not mean the absence of value. The silence of another person is not a signal for you to doubt yourself. Don't let who's missing distract you from everything that's present in your life. You are not defined by their decision to stay or leave. You are defined by how you choose to rise even when they don't show up.